One of the mysteries of the New Testament is associated with a small village on the outskirts of Jerusalem, Emmaus. Its exact location is disputed, but one major candidate is this archaeological site dating back to the Hellenistic period.
The exact location of Emmaus is debatable. Early Christianity, they believed that it was here because the Bible says at a certain distance from Jerusalem. And Emmaus comes from the word probably Hamat, and there's a hot springs nearby here, and the Romans had a bath there. It's very well preserved. So the early Christians, the Byzantines, said this is Emmaus, and they built a massive church here. It was destroyed by the Arab conquest, and later on, when the Crusaders returned, they thought Emmaus was in another place, Abu Ghosh. Some even thought it was in Moza, or some in Kubebe.
Emmaus, one can say, is everywhere where the disciples of Jesus meet him today. So you can find Emmaus even in the United States. There is a place called Emmaus. So the pilgrims have always wanted to visit Emmaus. And in the ancient times, sometimes because of the wars and other difficulties, some roads were closed. So the people were taking other roads, and they were looking for Emmaus on that road. That's why different places of Emmaus have appeared in this Holy Land. But this one is the most ancient. This is Emmaus of the Jewish tradition. It is mentioned in Talmud, Midrash, and other Jewish sources, Josephus Flavius. This is the Emmaus of the most ancient Christian tradition.
The chapter 24 of the Gospel of Luke, verse 13, describes the reappearance of Jesus in this small village. And behold, two of them went that same day to a village called Emmaus, which was from Jerusalem about 60 furlongs. And they talked together of all these things which had happened. And it come to pass that while they communed together and reasoned, Jesus himself drew near and went with them. But their eyes were holden that they should not know him. And he said unto them, What matter of communications are these that ye have one to another as ye walk and are sad? And the one of them, whose name was Cleopas, answering said unto him, Art thou only a stranger in Jerusalem, and hast not known the things which are come to pass there in these days?
We take the book of Luke, the Gospel of Luke, and we read in here, and it talks about the day of the resurrection, after Jesus has been crucified and buried, and he's resurrected. And some of his disciples are coming down from Jerusalem, and they're joined by what the Bible says is Jesus, but they don't know it's Jesus. And he's walking with them, this man, and he says, What are you talking about? And they say, Haven't you heard what's going on in Jerusalem? And they tell them the story of Jesus' crucifixion, his resurrection, and they're walking, and they're getting to this area of Emmaus, and Jesus wants to continue, and they say to him, No, come and join us for a meal. He breaks bread with them, he's revealed, and then he disappears. And so his disciples, who was called Cleophas and Simon, they went back up to Jerusalem to tell the other disciples and the apostles what happened.
This magnificent structure was a church during the Byzantine era, and later on during the Crusader era as well.
We're sitting now inside the edge of the Crusader-era church built in the 12th century. It's a nice monumental church with large stones, probably used from the Byzantine church, which it sits on top of. And if we look at it from the outside, we'll see that the Crusaders built a smaller church, quite nice, but smaller, and it's built next to or on top of the Byzantine church.
But the history of Emmaus goes back even before the time of Christ.
This is a Second Temple period Jewish burial tomb. Interestingly, we have a Byzantine tomb on top of that, but this is important because here, Emmaus, we first hear about from historians, is where the Maccabees defeated the Greeks. We're on the edge of the coastal plain going up to Jerusalem, very strategic site, and the Greeks came here going towards Jerusalem to a narrow valley. Judah Maccabee and his brothers came down, ambushed the Greeks, defeated them. And then later on, another Greek army came, they took Emmaus, and they fortified it.
Today, we can still find Christians present in Emmaus. From the 1990s, the site has been operated by the community of the Beatitudes.
The idea during the 70s was we want to go back to the Jewish roots of our faith. And then during 40 years, it evolved to the point that now we are dedicated to interfaith dialogue with Judaism. We have part of our prayer in Hebrew, and we are open to the Jewish tradition.
In the 7th century, the city was captured by Muslim forces and later evacuated. following the Great Plague of 639 CE. Only in the 11th century was the city rebuilt by the Crusaders. The monastery here is called the House of Peace, a name directed to the Christian church, but perhaps also a call for a better future in the area.